the Nintendo Direct just dropped, and yours truly slept through it. Yes, a big mistake on my part. But after getting my beauty sleep, I of course fired up the good old livestream video on Nintendo's channel and gave it a gander. And they really delivered some amazing stuff. Obviously, this video is spoilery, so be warned if you haven't watched the Direct yet. They hammered out a lot of amazing content, from a bunch of assist trophy characters, to new stages, and even the introduction of new characters. Simon Belmont and Richter Belmont joined the fray, alongside the long-awaited King K. Rool, who was revealed at the end of the livestream. What's pretty neat to know is that there could be a ton more characters waiting to be revealed, since this update included 2. As pointed out by the Regressor on Twitter, the graphic they showed us of the completed character roster back at E3 has been reordered and the characters have been moved around. The spaces that the new characters fit into weren't there before, so that means they can continue to edit this image to their liking. When I first saw this back in E3, I was wondering where the characters were going to fit in general. I had the pleasure of being invited out by Nintendo to the Smash Bros. Invitational, and got to play a lot of the game. But a fixed graphic like this was definitely concerning. However, with this new restructure, there really isn't a limit on characters. And as pointed out by a few people on Twitter, it seems that the updates are branching out to cover the Mii costumes of the past. As She Says states, honestly, I think the Mii costumes were a way to test consumer interest versus fan demand. I think he's pretty spot on too. And that's super exciting because that means Geno as a playable character is very possible. When the Mii costume came out a few years back, Sakurai stated he wanted to include Geno for a long time. Quote, "Geno was actually a character I wanted to include as a fighter. He has a gun for an arm, and just seems like he'd fit absolutely perfectly into Smash. I was hoping I'd be able to put him in as far back as Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but unfortunately that never ended up materializing." I also remember reading something about how the files for Geno were found in Brawl, mainly just an empty folder, but I can't recall where I read that or if it was actually true. Regardless, I'm super excited to see him hopefully make a return. Now that that's out of the way though, the biggest mystery left unanswered, and honestly the point of this video, is the blurred out menu item during the Direct. Now right off the bat, I want to say there has to be some sort of story adventure mode, just like the Subspace Emissary. It would only make sense for it to include that. Smash Ultimate is literally the embodiment of all the previous Smash Bros. Games, where they're bringing back all the components to them for one giant new release. Omitting the iconic adventure mode of Brawl would be silly, since it's really what the game is sort of known for, besides stripping and an overpowered Meta Knight that is. I strongly believe this mode will play just like the Subspace Emissary. And even the showcasing of the boss fight that was in the Direct reveals this. I would go as far as even saying Dracula could be considered a boss fight as well. And these boss fights were stemmed from adventure mode. But what could this mode be about though? Are there any clues to the story? Actually, I think I might have an answer, or at least a hunch. Twitter user Noctilessence recently broke down what the menu says after analyzing it letter by letter. They were able to deduct that this green blurred button read spirits, and that even the Japanese characters matched up as a direct swap from English characters to Japanese characters, outlining the word spirits. This was pieced together because a single line of pixels alongside the border helped reveal what the letters were. When you're blurring something in editing software, typically there are options to extend blur to the edge of the screen. Like in Adobe Premiere, you can blur edge pixels. Or if you're masking something out, you want to have the blur mask go off screen so it doesn't leave any parts unblurred. Anyways, I digress. With the word spirits revealed, it sets the one-player campaign in motion. Picture this. In Brawl, characters were turned into trophies and need to be released from them. In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, what if all the characters have died and turned into spirits, and it's up to us to rescue them? It's actually a really neat concept. Out of all the games we play, rarely do the protagonists in the series ever die in the storyline. Mario or Link dying and being an actual ghost is kind of surreal. If we consider what happens to Luigi in the game as well, then that makes even more sense. Luigi literally has his soul reaped from his body, and becomes a spirit. He dies. What if Smash Bros. Ultimate was about third-party characters coming in to save the Nintendo roster? The spirits theme makes so much sense for Smash Ultimate too, because it's like all the spirits of the past are coming together for one final game. Smash 64, Melee, Brawl, Smash 4, everything is here. And having Luigi turn to a ghost is a good way to mask the theme, because we're familiar with him dealing with ghosts already. If it was another character who died, it would have immediately been more of a red flag. I think it's a pretty neat way to secretly tell the story. But on the other hand, I could be completely wrong too. But anyways, what do you think? What do you think the single player campaign will be about? What characters are you dying to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you want to see my initial breakdown of Smash Ultimate when I got to play it in Nintendo's VIP area, you can find a link in the description below or in the cards above. And with that, thanks for tuning in for this Smash breakdown. Here's to hoping Geno makes a return. Anyways, thanks for watching guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers.